as I always tell people, planet signs and houses are really not enough to know a lot about astrology. It is truly the 101 phase. You gotta at least start leaning into aspects because no one needs to know anyone's rising sign to really be able to see what the story is. We really need the aspects. Okay? What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here. Back with a quick word. Maybe we'll stay a little while. Let's see where it goes. But I just wanted to talk about misconceptions within astrology. Let's get into it. Tap in, like this video, subscribe, share it, hype it up. So, getting right to my message, I wanted to just remind you guys that when you know astrology at this level, it's within your best interest to question all stereotypes, particularly from those who probably don't know their chart or the deeper layers of astrology. And the reason I say this is because the stereotype thing truly is misleading depending on how you're looking at your evolutionary journey. Never forget this. There's a whole host of people out there who follow astrology that believe that, let's say, free will doesn't exist at all. Till the wheels fall off, I will believe within the fate within free will. Meaning that things are both fated, but there's an element of figuring this motherfucker out. Okay? But there's people out there who are like, no, you just all think you're choosing. Whatever. My whole thing is, and this is from experience, is that the signs, and feel free to check out my book, Astrology of the Matrix, operate at different levels of consciousness. So we all have different planets and different signs. And those planets and those signs are capable of expressing themselves at different levels. What I like to call the soul level, the spirit level, and then the personality level. Okay? Now, with that, you'll find most people are looking at astrology from the personality level. Even if they learn their chart, it takes a real practice to tap into the deeper layers of the zodiac. Okay? And if you don't really know about the great year precession of the equinoxes, you're really just sniffing on the personality level. So I suggest doing some study if you don't. But getting to my point, I had heard someone giving their opinion because you have your opinion and then you have correspondent data. And a person who's been studying for as long as I have studied and with the amount of data that I've had access to really doesn't speak from opinion, it's from theory and the corresponding data. So, one of these misconceptions, and this is an interesting one, someone says, oh, people with sun in the 10th house can be egoistic. And then they go on to say, these people are always talking about their career. And I got to let you know, that's not really a just way of looking at that position or giving an opinion on it, because really it is just your opinion, because that isn't too true. And I could easily break this down for you. The sun is at its highest point, right? But what's the 10th house? The original house of Saturn. Saturn isn't dealing with any ego maniacs. Now keep in mind, you could have a different ruler in here, but overall the original temperature of the 10th house is Capricorn and Saturn rule, meaning that in order for 10th house suns to actually ascend, and the ones that do ascend are actually humble. They've reached a level of humility where they're looking at the career as a service or an offshoot of the personality. Those with a 10th house sun who are trying to find their way, that may do more talking than actually embodying, they may be more egoistic, let's say, right? But it's really a matter of how the energy plays out. Okay. So, like I said, you can't really see that someone has a 10th house sun and say, oh, they're egoistic and talk about their career a lot, because more than likely the more success they have within their career, the less actual speaking the 10th house person has to do about it. You know them for that. So that's a big thing. Now, what I want to go here and kind of veer off to and give you a real understanding of how you look at like egoism. And we've talked about narcissism here on this channel before, but we'll just go with like having a big ego, right? The first one, and like it says, a house alone, a position of a planet in a house alone isn't gonna just be enough to make you an egoist. You're gonna need some type of natal support, right? So the first one we can judge this is Sun Jupiter aspects. Sun is ego, right? Jupiter is expansion. So if they come together, big old ego. Kanye West, others, right? Then you have variations of what would make a person egoistic. We've talked about with the narcissism, Sun conjunct Venus being one, right? So, person doesn't have to be narcissistic, but they can be quite egoistic about themselves, their relationship, whatever that may be. So, as I always tell people, planet signs and houses are really not enough to know a lot about astrology. It is truly the 101 phase. You gotta at least start leaning into aspects, because no one needs to know anyone's rising sign to really be able to see what the story is. We really need the aspects. Okay, so giving you two examples of two major ego positions: Sun Jupiter contacts and Sun Venus conjunction. Then, thirdly, I know this through practice and observation. Sun in the third house. Oh my God. Oh my God. This I if you would have asked me before I got deep into astrology, do you think that a person's intelligence, a person being highly intelligent, can lead to like self sabotage? I probably would have said no, because they'd be smart enough to know how to like chill the fuck out. But Sun in the third house, this is an intellectual egoist. This is a person that literally their ego is attached to being right. And remember, you're looking at a 10th house Gemini Sun here and a Mercury dominant. So I've had quite a few of these people come into my life, and I come into theirs, and me to show them you don't know everything. There are some of us who know stuff and are willing to admit, hey, I don't know that. And if so, getting back to my point, that Sun in the third house, ego is so huge that it often alienates them from relationships, friendships, jobs, because there is an attachment to what one thinks of themselves, which was formulated by the ego. And you'll find here, I don't know if anyone's ever heard that study of like children who are put in the gifted and talented program early, or praised early on for their intellect, often crash out in adulthood and don't meet that potential. Yeah, a lot of them are probably Sun in the third house, okay? Or a strong third house or Sun contacts. So that's one where literally that is a humongous ego. That is. So the last thing I like to say on this topic is, if you know astrology at this level, listen closely to the things others say about other signs, and more times than not, you'll find that if you think about it, the statement probably isn't true. And a lot of these theories or understandings can be understood by just understanding the dynamics of how the signs work. So I give a quick example before we go. And we're already talking about the topic of like intelligence and things like that, or the mind, right? So I think Gemini a lot is associated with, intelligence, logic, all of that. But I'm telling you, when you really go deeper, and I can say it as simply as this: the tarot card, the Lovers, corresponds to Gemini, and that reveals at a deeper level that the sign of Gemini is about communication between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, building that bridge, okay, that ultimately lets personality become a vehicle for the higher self. Check out my book, Astrology of the Matrix. When you look at the other signs from these different perspectives, you'll find that at a personality level, and this is why they're opposite signs, Sagittarius is way more attached to logic than Gemini is at a personality level, right? Which is just like, oh, I want to know things. The way the Gemini mind works is that it's curious. It's curious. It wants to know a little bit of that. So it's not tied towards any belief or any one outcome. Sagittarius is kind of looking for a truth in the matter. So if they're debating something, they feel like, no, there has to be a winner. There has to be a right and there has to be a wrong. That's the nature of the sign. So when you ask yourself, okay, who's more, let's say, open-minded? People would probably say Sag. But in actuality, it's who's more open-minded? It's Gemini. And this is not because I'm a Gemini. It's just something, like I said, when you look at the different dynamics of the sign, Sag being corresponding more towards religious thought, and Gemini, curious thought. Who's more open-minded? The curious one. So feel free to chime in. Let me know your perspective on this. But like I said, it's so many misconceptions and stereotypes, and I just think it's cool that when you think about some of them, you're like, no, that isn't right. So feel free to share any that you guys might also hear and things like that. Before I go, I know a good one recently was just hogwash, is that Venus isn't your love life. It is Pluto. But anyway, I digress. Tap in, like this video, subscribe, share it, hype it up. If you need any of my services, check out GeminiBrown.com. Till next time.
Stop this time. Hip hop this time. Won't you bop this time? Get your shit rock this time. M.O.P. Annie up this time. Won't stop this time. Hip hop this time.
Trap or Die, Snowman, Jeezy. Came up in the time of the mixtape Weezy. In the past, before they turned dummy, niggas said they had cash, really it was Young Money. A new school emerged, Weezy passed the torch before the blogs magazines had the source. 5 mics, you knew you had the hot pass. Nowadays, we chase likes off a podcast. I hear a bunch of hate, that shit is not flying. Sorry for the waiters, get rich or die trying. Give thanks, flow plunging the floor. Feeling like banks still got a hunger for more. Online, creators they be thirsty. 9 ether, G unit back for mercy. Boss aim, call it penitentiary. Hate it or love it, it's all a documentary. I got the game from cold, took care of my soul. Good kid, Man City, it'll never get old. I've been bold, now I'll beat the odds, kid. Never needed Khaled to believe, cause God did. Dipset, I'm sorta like Killer. I love hip hop, but I miss Mac Miller. Haters gon' hate, they could kiss my anus. Put the big in the Sean, we finally famous. We got hits, boy, just another alley pitch. Still bumping big hit in the Alchemist. Just a prodigy, skilled with this habit. Queens get the money, it's ill, but still mad as